Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Zishan Mansoori. I am the Assistant Professor in Department of Cardiology at BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad. And today we are going to talk about recurrent prostatic valve thrombosis. I have no relevant financial disclosure. We are going to talk about valvular heart diseases and types of prostatic valves, anticoagulation requirement after the valve replacement surgeries, prostatic valve thrombosis, its diagnosis and treatment, and recurrent prostatic heart valve thrombosis. Now, this is a new domain and a lesser explored. So the valvular heart disease is an increasingly common cause of morbidity and mortality in the Indian subcontinent. Causes may be rheumatic heart disease, degenerative heart disease such as mitral valve prolapse, congenital heart disease such as bicuspid aortic valve with aortic stenosis, ischemic heart diseases with caudal rupture and mitral regurgitation, cardiomyopathy with functional mitral regurgitation, infective endocarditis, traumatic injury to the heart. Both the stenotic, occlusive, as well as regurgitant or insufficiency type of lesions can affect all four cardiac valves, that is mitral, tricuspid, aortic, and pulmonary. Depending upon the severity, clinical as well as echocardiographic, the valvular dysfunction patients may require either mitral valve repair or replacement. Whenever we replace the valve, we remove the diseased native valve and replace it with a prosthetic valve. Prostatic heart valves are mainly classified into three types: mechanical, bioprosthetic, and homografts. Mechanical prostatic heart valves are composed of three basic elements, that is an occluder restraint, and a sewing ring. The first mechanical prostatic valve was invented by Dr. Hufnagel in 1952, who created a ball valve prosthesis to be implanted in the descending thoracic aorta of patients who had severe aortic regurgitation. Dr. Albert Starr and Dr. Laurel Edwards also created Starr and Edwards ball and cage valves in 1960. Other types and examples of mechanical heart valves include ball and cage, as we discussed, then disc valves. It is a tilting disc or a single disc valve, that is Medtronic Hall, Bioch-Shiley, and TTK Chitra. Bileaflet mechanical valves, which are more in common in practice right now, there is St. Jude, Carbomedics, and Onyx. So this is an example diagrammatic representation of the mechanical heart valve prosthesis. On top left, Hufnagel valve was the first ever prosthesis to be used in descending thoracic aorta, and Starr Edwards, and then the Bioch-Shiley and Qatar the tilting disc, and St. Jude, Carbomedics, and Open Power. These are the bileaflet mechanical valves. Bioprosthetic heart valves are composed of three leaflets made up of xenograft tissue, either from the porcine valve leaflets or from the bovine pericardium. They can be either stented or non-stented. They produce better hemodynamics than the mechanical prosthesis, but they generate higher transvalvular residual gradients because they are smaller in annular size. Example: porcine aortic bioprosthetic valve, Carpentier, Edwards, or Hancock; bovine pericardial valves, Perimount, Stentless, Toronto, and other prosthetic valves which are used for transcatheter valve replacement, such as in the Edwards, Sapiens, or Medtronic Core. So this is a diagrammatic representation of bioprosthetic heart valves. Then homografts. These are cadaveric tissue valves taken from the same species. They are used in conjunction with the autograft, as in the Ross procedure. In Ross procedures, the patient's own pulmonic valve is reimplanted into the aortic position, and a homograft tissue is implanted in the pulmonary position. They are very infrequently used nowadays. All mechanical prosthetic valves require some oral anticoagulation. Metallic or the mechanical prosthetic valves, they require anticoagulation with vitamin K antagonist, that is warfarin or acinofumarole. So the target INR for these vitamin K antagonist depends upon the location of the prosthesis as well as the type of prosthesis. For any mechanical MVR, that is the mitral valve replacement, target INR is 3 with a range of 2.5 to 3.5. Whenever there is mechanical AVR with a bileaflet or a new generation of a tilting disc valve and no other risk factors of thromboembolism, the target INR is 2.5, slightly lower than the mechanical MVR. But when the mechanical AVR with old generation tilting disc valve or any other risk factors for thromboembolism, then the target INR is again 3. Mechanical AVR with the latest Onyx aortic heart valve, the target INR falls to 1.5 to 2, which is path-breaking. The risk factors for thromboembolism are atrial fibrillation, any history of thromboembolism, left ventricular dysfunction, or hypercoagulable state. Prosthetic heart valve thrombosis is generally due to impeded leaflet movement or mechanical prosthetic valves, and it may present with valve failure. It may occur as a result of a subtherapeutic INR because of poor drug compliance, which may lead to a prothrombotic milieu, which leads to thrombus formation in the prosthesis. Clinical features resemble that of heart failure with breathlessness, shortness of breath, and pulmonary edema. Patient may also present with sudden cardiac death. Acute prosthetic heart valve thrombosis can be due to thrombus or vegetation, and chronic can be because of pannus. It can be diagnosed by a transthoracic 2D echocardiography, which shows increased gradient and may show a large thrombus or vegetation. Transesophageal echocardiography or TE may show the thrombus very clearly. It may also help to differentiate between the thrombus and pannus or vegetation. And cinefluoroscopy is the gold standard for bileaflet mechanical prosthetic heart valves. It may show restricted or absent movement of the leaflet, and it is used for bileaflet valves. Treatment includes fibrinolysis or thrombolysis, then surgery with replacement of the prosthesis or declotting surgery. Measures to reduce the pulmonary congestion or pulmonary edema are standard practice. Diuretics, non-invasive ventilation with BiPAP mode, and fibrinolysis is generally done with streptokinase, urokinase, or even alteplase with an intravenous bolus, followed by slow continuous intravenous infusion. Surgery may include declotting procedure or thrombectomy, may require removal of the old prosthesis with the annulus and reimplantation of a new one. So how to decide between these two? Which patients require fibrinolysis and which patients require surgery? So points favoring surgery are readily available surgical expertise, low surgical risk, contraindication of fibrinolysis, recurrent PHVT, NYHA class 4, large clot more than 0.8 centimeters square area, left atrial thrombus, concomitant coronary artery disease, which may require CABG, other valvular heart disease, pannus, or patient choice. Points favoring fibrinolysis, exactly opposite. Surgical expertise not available, high surgical risk, no contraindication for fibrinolysis, first episode of PHVT, class 1 to 3, small size thrombus or no left atrial thrombus, no or minimal coronary artery disease, no other valvular heart disease, visualized thrombus, and patient choice. But the final decision should always be considered by the heart team, including cardiologist and surgeon. And patient choice remains to be of paramount importance. Recurrent prosthetic heart valve thrombosis, whenever patient develops multiple episodes of prosthetic heart valve thrombosis in a short span of time, maybe 6 months or a year, 2-3 episodes are occurring. So how to approach these patients and what to rule out in these patients is that recurrent PHVT is generally associated with cytochrome P452C9 polymorphism, which may have altered vitamin K antagonist response, vitamin K epoxide reductase polymorphism, which may also reduce or affect the activity of warfarin or acinocumarol. Then parasite infestations such as fluke infestation, eosinophilia, hypereosinophilic syndrome, prothrombotic states such as blood dyscrasias or malignancies, and poor drug compliance. So when to suspect recurrent PHVT? Multiple episodes in a short span of time, let us say 2 to 4 episodes in just 1 year. Similar clinical and echocardiographic findings of thrombus or clot, no vegetation, no pannus, and resolution of symptoms every time we use fibrinolytic therapy or just thrombectomy or a surgery. And sometimes patient may respond to optimum anticoagulation. How to investigate these cases? You have to do all the routine investigations as we do in all cases of PHVT. Apart from that, you need to do absolute eosinophil count, genetic testing for gene polymorphism, workup for thrombophilia, blood dyscrasias, and hematological malignancies, workup for parasite infestation such as peripheral smears. Sometimes you need to do bone marrow biopsy. Sometimes you need to do stool routine microexamination and stool culture examination as well. How to treat recurrent PHVT? Try to focus on the source, try to focus on the cause of recurrent PHVT. Surgery is the first option because it is a recurrent event. Fibrinolysis with newer agent, alteplase or retiplase can be tried, and treatment of the underlying cause is the parasite infestation. You need to treat with antiparasite agents. And for blood dyscrasias or malignancies, you need to treat with that condition. Thank you.